Aloha! Hey, it's Julie Ziemelis, 365 Hawaii and 365 Hawaii Group with Keller Williams Realty, Big Island. And I am here with Amber Haley, Real Broker. And you guys are going to get a treat today because we are coming to you live from the new studio.
Oh my goodness!
So this is the lanai off the new house we just bought. And we're going to use this is right now the garden view. We got the ocean view. So you guys will see different areas as we try and get this place kind of done up. But we're just moving in right now. And Amber actually is one of our first friends to come see us in our new house. So, so speaking of new houses and real estate, let's get into what is going on in East Hawaii. So Amber's here to give us the stats, and then stay tuned. We're going to tell you guys a little bit about some of the phone calls that we both get from people who want to move to East Hawaii and some of the realities that we think that we should share some with you, so you guys don't think that it's all popsicles and lollipops in the jungle out there. So
popsicles and lollipops. That's a new one. I like it. Okay, before we get to the popsicles, let's talk some stats and some numbers, and then more importantly, what that really means for you guys. Okay, so East Hawaii, we have most of our real estate take place in the Puna District and the South Hilo District. So those are the numbers that we are focusing on today. So let's start with Puna. Puna is the busiest market on the whole island. It is comprised of lava zones 1, 2, and 3. I always like to throw that out there because the price point is so much lower when you average in the numbers for lava zones 1 and 2 because the land is not as valuable there. So let's jump into it. Right now, with our latest MLS data, the median home price in the Puna District is, believe this or not, $323,000.
That's like nothing.
$323,000. Yeah. Now, if you're talking more lava zone 3, you're going to be closer to the 500,000 point. You can still get under 500,000 there. And then if you're in lava zones 1 or 2, that's kind of where the lower averages are kind of coming in. So that's the median price. Now, if we look at the previous month, the median price was $325,000. So it's gone down, but not significantly. So I wouldn't say it's like this or anything. It's almost exactly the same. But then when we look at a year ago, now remember what it was kind of crazy still. A year ago.
This time was crazy last year.
Yes, the median price was $350,000. So that's a over $25,000 difference. So we are seeing a decrease, I would say, kind of significant from a year ago. Okay. So that's interesting. Yeah. Interesting data.
And then that is following what's happening on the Big Island, on the mainland.
Yes.
There's a lot of metro markets that are literally falling apart right now. And so we are actually holding value better than some of the metro areas like Phoenix, where the prices went like this, now they're going like this. We're here, so that's good. So we were asked today, I was telling Amber, this one guy said, is the market going to crash? I'm like, it's not crashing. Like you said, what's $20,000, right? Yeah. Over the course of a year. Yes. That's not that bad.
Yeah, and when you factor in different people's interest rates and different things, there's just so many factors, but that's why we do these market updates. We're just going to keep you updated. Right. And give you, our most educated guidance that we can without having crystal balls. Okay, so let's talk days on market. So how long a property is sitting on the market. Right now in Puna, we are at 76 days on market, which is the longest I've seen in quite a while. So that means homes are sitting on the market longer. And we compare that to the month before, we were at 54 days on market. So that's quite a bit longer.
And then what was a year ago?
And then a year ago was 41.
Okay.
So a year ago, 41, today 76.
Okay, that's like a month.
Almost twice as long as a year ago. So yes, so things are sitting. Again, especially in East Hawaii, I mean all over this island, but especially in East Hawaii, just keep in mind these are like generalizations. This is all the data compiled. There will still be homes that hit the market. For example, one that we were just talking about today that one of the buyers in 365 is interested in. It's been on the market 2 days. It's already got multiple offers. It's
got 8 offers.
Above list price. So, it's all relative to the individual property. So keep that in mind. But in general, things are sitting much longer than they were a year ago.
And I'll tell you a little bit why that was the case so you guys can see what we're talking about.
Yes.
That, when a house actually has over $100,000 of needed maintenance, that will sometimes bring the price down and drive up those people who think they can do the work.
Yes, it really depends on the condition of the house and how aggressively they priced and all these different factors. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk South Hilo. So South Hilo, right now, the median price is $470,000. So as you can see, it is more expensive than the Puna District. It is all Lava Zone 3. And let's compare that to the month before. This is an interesting stat. The median price the month before was $552,000. So it is, I would say, a pretty significant drop. However, there is not that much inventory. There haven't been that many sales. So it is still just, you know, a snapshot of data. So we'll see if the direction keeps going down, if it stays or, you know, goes back up. We'll see. Okay. Okay. So, and then if we're talking a year ago, the median price was sitting at $578,000.
Oh, so that's gone down quite a lot.
Quite a bit. There's a lot less sales than there were a year ago, less than half. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, things have really slowed. So days on market for Hilo is 50 days on market, which is quite a bit less than the Puna district. Things seem to be selling quicker, probably because there's not very much inventory.
Right. And people like to live in Lava Zone 3 when they can. Because it's a little safer, right? And also people like to be next to the town. So, you know, there's lots going on in Hilo, and, you know, when you're driving in from, let's say, HPP, that could be a 40-minute drive.
It could be, yeah, especially if you hit a traffic time. So if you're somebody who works in Hilo, you know, a lot of people like to live in Hilo.
Right.
And then, okay, so 50 days on market. Let's compare that to the month before. We were at 77. So days on market is decreasing, at least for the last full month of data that we have. Compare that to a year ago, it was only 37 days on the market. Things were selling very fast. So you can kind of see the trends. Prices decreasing a little bit. Days on market increasing. It's an interesting time to be in real estate.
Because you know what? It's not a buyer's market.
Yeah.
But it's not quite always a seller's market either. So we're kind of in the mix right now, right? Of like, you know, and again, haven't you seen though, like just like today, where you got what seems to be a steal in the deal house. You get a whole bunch of people, because I think there's a bunch of buyers who are still circling out there looking for the deal, right?
There are a lot of people looking for a deal. That is a trend that I'm noticing. A lot of buyers looking for a deal. And, you know, we're heading into the spring market. I know a lot of people who have been kind of waiting to jump in until spring, so it might become more competitive for buyers.
Yeah.
So,
and I tell people too, and also just give you guys a plug for what we're doing tomorrow, is we're going to have our island-wide update, and we're bringing in our mortgage partners, and they're going to talk about the rates, which have done amazingly things to try and slow this market down. And people are saying, as soon as the rates go down, I'll buy a house. So while everyone's kind of doing this, the opportunity for people who don't want to wait until the rates drop to be competing with even more buyers, this is a good time to buy, right? And, you know, we talked to this guy, he has cash. So I'm like, why are you waiting to compete with people who are, you know, in mortgages if you can just buy something now? So you know, it's one of the things that we try and tell you guys is that, you know, we don't have a crystal ball. But what we can see is when the rates went down in January, there was buyer flurry. Rates went back up, buyers pulled out. So it happens pretty quick.
Yeah, it does happen pretty quick. And, you know, a lot of people like to ask, is it a good time to buy? You're just saying people are asking that now. I know a lot of realtors just always say it's a good time to buy, but really, that really comes down to you and your life right now and your situation right now. If you are in the market to buy a house and you can afford one and you find one you like, I think it's always a great time to buy. But it's so specific to each individual situation. We're just here to empower you with all of the data that we can.
And one of the things that this, you know, and he's a younger guy, you know, the kind of person that, you know, moves to Hawaii, is like, has a lot of energy, wants to, like, you know, get a piece of land and start working on it. He just said, I just want to make sure I'm not buying at the top of the market. And I'm like, you know, first of all, no one can really time the top of the market sometimes. However, with what you're saying, with the prices kind of going doon, but you're not crashing, that it shows that, you know what, if you're waiting for the market to crash, you're going to keep waiting, because we still don't have enough inventory, and we have a ton of demand. So as soon as you have that demand, it keeps the prices pretty steady, right?
And we were talking about, you know, the market on the mainland. There's a lot of markets that are back in sellers markets, you know, so I don't see real estate really crashing everywhere. It's just a really interesting time listening to all the different markets across the country. But yeah, if it's a good, you know, if it's really individual to your situation, and that's why I like to sit down and strategize with each individual buyer, hear their story, and kind of see what's on the market. But yeah, if you're a cash buyer, you know, that you don't really need to worry about the interest rates for yourself. You gotta jump in when the timing is right for you. Okay, so what you guys really want to know is the market going up or down. We kind of answered that. It's kind of going a little bit down in East Hawaii, but not a huge amount. It's almost holding steady. So not really enough data to say we're in a huge drop. Let's talk about list to sales price really fast.
Yeah.
So list to sales price for Puna is 91, almost 92%, and 92% for Hilo. So about 92% list to sales price. So
that's gone down a little bit. Last time we started at 3%, then went to 6%. Now we're down to 8%.
From a year ago, it's gone a lot, really far down. A year ago, we were at like almost 98%, 95%.
Yeah.
We're about the same as we were the month before, down a little bit. But yeah, so when you're going to make an offer, on average right now, most of them are going about 8% under list. But that is, again, a huge generalization.
Right.
So it really is valuable to do a market analysis on any individual property, look into that property, what's going on, and what comparables have sold or are under contract in the area.
Right. And what we saw over here recently was the house was on the market for like 2 weeks, and it seems to be this magic moment of buyers saying, okay, if nobody made an offer on it in 2 weeks, therefore I can come in and undercut the price. And then 3 people bid on it the same day.
Yeah, so it seems like that happens sometimes.
It's like looking for the deal, but then everybody else is looking for the deal, so then the deal goes up. Yeah. And so then it comes back to market value because you're competing with other people.
It's always exciting.
Oh yeah, yes. And so get this too, you guys. That one of the things that we're talking to, I was talking to Amber about, that we get these calls from people saying, I want to live in East Hawaii, and they have this like grand notion of how they think things are over there. So we thought that we would add a little bit of some fun things for you guys on this one, and know that Eric and I are actually going to be interviewing a gentleman that actually specializes in land in places like Mountain View and Curtistown and Ocean View Estates, where places where people say, I want to buy 10 acres for $40,000 and put up little houses and create a commune.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Yeah. There's a reason why that's not happening, though. So let's start with when people think that they don't mind living off-grid. So what does off-grid really mean for you? When you at least hear it from other people. I know that's part of your life is catchment. But, like, come on. Tell people.
Okay, so if you're truly off-grid, that means you're not connected to anything. So you're electric, and yes, you're probably on water catchment or well, and your Wi-Fi, if you have it, is likely satellite. You're truly off-grid, and that is such a lovely idea. When I moved to Hawaii, I just remembered this. When I moved to Hawaii, like 7 years ago, I was gonna live off grid. I was obviously like, how cool is that? Like, live off grid, sustainable Hawaii permaculture, and some people love it, and a lot of people do it here. So I'm not discouraging you from doing it, but it does seem like it's one of those ideas that a lot of people have that don't have experience living off grid, and it's kind of like a romantic idea in their minds. Right. But what I will say, the reality of what I see with people and clients I've had who do live off grid, is when you're on propane, I mean, that's not exactly cheap here in Hawaii.
In fact, we had a run on propane recently.
Yeah, environmentally sustainable, that not really, if that's kind of what you're going for. And I just know a lot of people, they have hassle with their solar, and it's just, they're always needing something. They're always on a backup generator. There can be a lot of hassle, and the Wi-Fi that you can get is usually, kind of the kind where you probably can't stream Netflix. You got to download the Netflix. So if you're going to work from home or something like that, which I know so many people do now, Wi-Fi is not as easy. It's just not for everybody. You really want to think about, do you really want to live off-grid? And there's a lot of happy mediums. Like, for example, I am planning on getting solar at my property that I own, but I have water catchment, but I am connected to the grid. So I have Helco, I have, except for when we have power outages and my off-grid neighbor has power and I don't, and then she wins. Like, my electric is pretty simple. I don't really need a generator as often as my off-grid neighbors who always seem to have problems with their solar. There's not enough sun because it's been a really cloudy few months. Yep. So, I live pretty sustainably, I feel like, and I'm still on the grid, and I actually have decided I would like to keep it that way. All my romantic notions of like, I'm going to move to Hawaii and live off grid and live off the land. I have a nice happy medium, I think. I still shop at Costco. I'm still on the grid.
So you're not farming in the backyard, huh?
But I do grow. I garden a little bit when I have time, and I live on water catchment, and I'm getting solar. So there's different things you can do to be realistic.
Yeah, and so Andy, this guy, he was saying that some people also look at a piece of property on a map and say, I could live there, right? Without actually ever having been here to really see what that looks like, and getting a bulldozer to come in and basically clear the land so you can actually create a pad to put a house on it is very expensive.
It's expensive. It's expensive. I do know some good excavation companies. If you guys ever need a referral, feel free to reach out to me.
Okay.
But it is expensive. I'm not even sure like exactly what your price would be if you wanted to clear a huge parcel, maybe out in Mountain View on like a 20-acre property. But I could tell you right now, for like an acre in a neighborhood like Hawaiian Paradise Park, to clear that, you're probably looking at like 12 to 16,000, probably on the upper end of that, because fuel prices have gone up, and you know, if you want a good, reliable company, that's about what that's going to cost you. And the more remote you get and the larger area you get, your prices are just going to go up. And
yeah. And he said basically, you think that you're buying your cheap little piece of land. Well, then you guys say, okay, I'm going to put $10,000 to $15,000 in excavation into it just to get it going, right? And then if you have to hook up power, which I don't even know how much that costs. He's like, oh, by the time that you think you've just bought an inexpensive piece of land, now you're into over $50,000, $60,000, $70,000.
Yeah.
And that's before you even really start get going. So
Yeah.
we just want to let you guys know that because people like say, oh, I saw this on YouTube, and you guys make it seem like, well, you know, I can buy a piece of land for $14,000 and I can live in a yurt and I can live the best life I've ever had. Well, there's things that go with living life, right?
Yeah.
And having sewer and water and catchment, all the things that people like take for granted every day of living in a city, and you don't have that. I think it gets old and expensive.
Yeah. You really just got to do some soul searching and see if that maybe really is for you. Because I've had some clients who have said, you know, explain that they want that kind of lifestyle, and they really do. And they've bought the permaculture homestead off grid, and they are thriving. But I would say the vast majority like the idea of it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. In fact, we were showing a home in like Fern Acres to somebody, and the guy showed us the whole back end of the house was all done up with all the electrical grid for the solar and all the stuff. You gotta be like a mini electrician to also live off grid, because you gotta know how to handle all that stuff and fix it and how to monitor it and make sure that it's up to not enough. No. So anyway, just the concept of you know, if you think that you're especially going to go off in the middle of nowhere, get a cheap house, and then work from home at your high-tech business, and there's no solid Wi-Fi, or you think that you're going to go off grid and you still need to live your life. It's just, you know, just talk to a variety of people.
Yes.
So there's a slightly question that's a little bit having to do with it. It says, in Hawaii, do you have to assess your personal property yearly? If so, when is this assessment done?
Your real estate?
Yeah.
It says, in Hawaii, do you have to assess your personal property yearly?
Okay.
If so, when is this assessment done?
So I'm assuming, are they talking about tax?
Yeah, the county taxes. So so when the county assessor jacks up the price every year.
Yeah, so every year property is reassessed for tax purposes. And the biggest change in assessment generally happens after point of sale. So like the house that you guys bought here, you can expect the tax assessment to boom for next year. That is why I really encourage everybody who is buying, and I always remind my clients, if you qualify to file for the homeowner's exemption. Have you guys done that?
No.
Okay, you got to do that. Trust me, because I didn't do it right away when I bought my house, and I paid too many taxes. Because if you have a homeowner's tax exemption,
but you have to live here full time.
Yeah, so not everybody will qualify. So see if you qualify. If you qualify for it, and it's your primary residence, and there might be other criteria, but you can apply with the county and see. They can only assess your property at 3% higher every year. Okay. Which in the kind of market we've been seeing is really valuable.
Yeah, because think about it. The prices have gone up at least 50% over the last 3 years.
Way more than 3%.
Yeah.
So that's really valuable, and you don't want to forget to do that. Yeah, so every year the county does assess, and then there is a period where you have to appeal it. I believe, I usually send out a reminder. I believe it's April or June. So it's probably coming up where there's a deadline where you can appeal it if you think that like they've assessed it completely incorrectly. Again, with that homeowner's exemption, shouldn't ever go more than 3% yearly, and you can always expect, so if you're one of those people at home looking at property on the internet, where you get listing alerts, or you're on Zillow or whatever, and you see the property tax, keep in mind that property tax, that annual, if they have an annual number there, that's for the current homeowner, and their tax situation is likely different than yours, and if you were to buy that house from them, the county will reassess that and it will probably, you can probably expect it to be a lot higher. Now, there are different situations where yours might be a lot lower. Maybe you're disabled, maybe
or
different
62,
tax.
65.
Yeah, maybe different tax situations, but you always want to kind of take that with a grain of salt, and a general rule of thumb is your property taxes will probably be higher than that number.
Yeah, and if you guys are watching this and you're thinking about buying a vacation, like what you knew ahead of time was a vacation rental, someone who had it from a second home, that they usually have to pay a higher property tax because they're investors.
Yes.
And so if you know that you're going to use that for your own private property, what's it called? For your own personal residence, then it will be less. But if it looks like it's this, it might be this next year, right? Because it goes up every 3% every year. And if you guys, obviously, the information about how you get taxed is easily available on Google. But I can drop one of my blog posts below because there's tax cuts for people who live here full time and also people who are certain ages. It drops each time as you get older. It drops down. So again, it works out if you wait until you're 62 and want to live here full time. You can get a pretty good tax rate.
Yeah, and your property tax rate changes too based on how you are zoned for taxes. So some are agriculturally zoned, some are residential. There's some other categories you can find on the county tax property website that'll really guide you on exactly how much your taxes will be. But yeah, it's a good reason, I think, for people to reach out before they purchase property, especially if they're like looking at a second home or a vacation rental, to really like maybe talk to a tax professional, talk to your financial people, and really, I think a lot of people would be surprised that maybe the end of the day, sometimes investing in like a second vacation rental property might not really be as high of an ROI as you think when you factor in things like taxes.
11% tax.
Yeah.
Where it's 4 something percent for people who live here full time.
Then if you get a property manager and they take their cut.
So penciling it out is like, you have to 30%. And then home maintenance, which we are learning a lot about, and how expensive it is on this island to pay for stuff like carpeting. The labor cost to do stuff for your house is hard too. It's just, owning a home. But if your dream to live in Hawaii is strong enough and you have the wherewithal and the means to make it happen, we got Amber Haley here with Real Broker to help you in East Hawaii.
Yeah. It's such a great place to live.
Yep.
It really
and is there any other questions that are coming in from the live department?
Check just make sure.
Okay. What else is going on in East Hawaii lately? Okay, Merry Monarch's coming up.
Merry Monarch. For those of you who don't know, Merry Monarch is a festival that takes place in Hilo, Hawaii, on the east side of the Big Island. And it is the largest hula festival in the world, and it's a really big deal. And it's very exciting. It's happening, I believe Merry Monarch Week starts on April 9th. And there's fun stuff all week long. There's a parade, there's craft fairs, just like a lot of people in town. Very exciting. The best hula dancers on the planet. Everybody flies in. It's kind of hard to get tickets to. I don't know if you can still get them, but even if you can't, there's a lot of fun activities going on in Hilo during the week that you don't need tickets for. So it's just like a really special time, and it hasn't really been the same because of the pandemic. So I feel like this year it's gonna be back to like how it was. So I know they're already setting up at the stadium for it.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Wow, that's a month away.
Yeah, they're already setting up. I saw it. Yeah.
So one of the things that Eric and I have never done is gone to Merry Monarch in Hilo. So this year we're going to go.
Oh,
so
yay.
we're going to film what's it like to come over and walk the streets, see the parade, do the craft fair, get a flavor of what life looks like in Hilo during Merry Monarch time. And one of my friends is actually dancing hula, actually here at the Hula He Palace, because they wanted to have a little hula for us in West Hawaii that don't want to drive over to East Hawaii. So we're going to add that in there so that we can see that, what it looks like for like the Halaus to come over on this side. And then, East Hawaii has like hundreds and hundreds of hula dancers and everything else. So it'll be fun to go out there. Maybe we'll pull you in. You can do kind of man on the street too. So
Chris is watching and he says, Merry Monarch crossed my mind yesterday. Maybe it's a call to be there.
There you go. Yeah. If you love Hawaiian culture, you guys, and if you can't see the them live, they do record them and put them on YouTube, right?
Yeah. Last year they were on, I think, live on television on local TV, and I bet they'll do that again. There'll be somewhere that you can stream it. I don't know off the top of my head. I wish I did right now, but yeah, it's great. You'll be able to watch it somewhere, at least virtually, and it is really special.
Yeah. Those guys.
Yeah,
cute.
They're so good.
So, other than that, what else is going on?
Oh, let's see. I mean, we've had some beautiful weather in East Hawaii this week. We had quite a bit of rain so far this year, and then I will tell you guys, I left East Hawaii this morning. I'm over here in West Hawaii hanging out with them, which is super fun. But I left such a beautiful day. It was like 80 degrees, just so sunny. I missed it because I was traveling, but last week we had a really cool day with these UFO clouds.
Oh yeah, the lenticular clouds.
Yes,
yeah.
and I was really bummed that I missed that, but it just was like a great reminder of how special this island is and how cool our nature is. I mean, we forget because we're here all the time and we get so spoiled and we see the ocean all the time, but man, this is such a special place. The nature is been pretty spectacular in Hilo over the last week.
And you know, we were driving down the highway and Mauna Loa opened up, and you could see all the snow on Mauna Loa. And usually you can see it in Mauna Kea, but to have it that far down to Mauna Loa, there must be a lot of snow up on those mountains right now.
A lot of snow on the mountains. I heard they raised the alert level on Kilauea last week to orange. You know, that's nothing to like be alarmed of or anything. It's just part of life on the volcano. I feel like I felt an earthquake in my sleep last night, so maybe there's some activity going on. It's always exciting. Nature is powerful here, and we're so lucky.
Yeah. So she's resting. She's not, you know, out for the count.
Yeah, I'm not trying to like start a crazy.
But even though they're saying it'll just like come up under the lava lake again. That's what they're looking at to come up under. But what happens in East Hawaii that doesn't happen in West Hawaii is that East Hawaii remains fog free during a eruption, where that stuff comes running on over to Kona and just dumps itself right out of our horizon line. So if that happens again, I'm going to go over to Hilo and enjoy the blue skies. So
we got nice air. We don't have that volcanic smog.
Yes. And we were talking about this. The video that we just released today on 365 Hawaii. We're talking about fog and how it blows this way, east to west, so we get it over here, and you guys, there could be a full-on eruption over in East Hawaii. You would never know it being in East Hawaii. So another good reason if you have respiratory issues, living in East Hawaii actually is very good because their air is pretty clean. Yeah. So okay. So anything else? Any questions? Okay. So people in YouTube land, if you have any questions, put them down in the comments. I'll drop Amber's information, and for people over on the Facebook group, thank you for being part of the 365 Ohana and joining us and being part of our private Facebook group. And if you want to be over on that side and not on that side, you can go to 365hawaiiliving.com and join the Ohana and get into our private groups. And also that access gives you newsletter articles, and also reminders about what we're doing in terms of these updates, the TTT updates, and also we'll wrap this up and actually put together basically a fact sheet of what we just covered, and you'll get that too.
Yay.
So with that, we say
aloha.